This morning, the Heart Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, page 3 in the prayer book. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on massive Vulture's Mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristics, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagwan. So now we'll turn to the short mandala at the bottom of page 7. Dashi Poki Jokshin Tok Tra Rani Nam Dak Jela Ahisha Dam Mong Sung Ke Yu Tra Yen Ba Su Lu Dang Long Chu Chen Ye So Ra Sa Ro Ji Ki So Idam Guratna Mandala Kamniyatayami.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. A little bit chilly. Okay, nice. uh, hope you had a nice, good sleep. Um, and even if you don't have good sleep, there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry. So, like, as today, we will start with a short mindful breathing exercise. Okay, and again, as I mentioned yesterday, it's always good to start with that. Just quieting your mind, calming your mind. And once your mind is calm, quiet through the breathing, you know, you are able to do that. And then on the basis of calm, quiet mind, then we try to generate good motivation, intention for being here. Of course, when you are watching your breath mindfully, you know, if you are doing for the first time, for the very beginning, sometimes it can be helpful to keep your focus, you know, uh, when you're breathing in, being mindful and being aware, I'm breathing in, breathing out, being mindful and aware, I'm breathing out, breathe in, out, being mindful, watchful, and being aware. But once you have learned the technique and you are good, then you don't have to actually do that. You can just focus on the sensation of the breath, you know, pattern also that. So however you feel more comfortable, you know, the main the main thing is to be able to keep our mind with the objects, the breath, you know. And when you are able to keep your mind with the objects such as breath, then all other thoughts, feeling, emotions started to dissolve, and your mind become more quiet, calm. Uh, yeah, so that is the whole uh, purpose of that practice meditation. Okay? Again, make yourself comfortable, relax. And if possible, keep your back straight. So you are more awake. And let the flow of your breath flow naturally. And keep your attention or the mind with the breath, observing it mindfully. Once your mind has been settled down, quiet, then we can try to reflect, contemplate, and feel how fortunate, lucky we are to have this precious human life with so much potential. Met the Dharma, and being born in a time when there's such an incredible, qualified, authentic, enlightened teachers such as His Holiness Dalai Lama. So fortunate to be born in that such time and to receive teachings, to hear the teachings, to read his teachings. So fortunate. Having the right conditions to practice the Dharma. So fortunate. Not everyone has such conditions. But such condition and such life does not last forever. One day, we will have to leave this body and leave this world. All of us. Within the next 50 to 100 years, none of us will be here in this world, in this body. Every sentient being who are born in this samsara has to die. No one can escape the death. And we are no exception. Most of us have lost our grandparents, our parents. One day we will be also gone. Not only we will die for sure one day, but we don't know when we will be dying. The death could come in next 50 years, next 10 years, or maybe even this year. There is no guarantee that it will not come for sure in this month or even this week. when it's going to come is so uncertain. It will come anytime. Within last 24 hours, so many people have died. Some in the hospitals, some in the hospice, some in home, some on the road, some while they are in the nature. And we could have died this week within last week or within just today. We could have died. Fortunately, luckily, we are still alive. So fortunate. Not everyone was such fortune, had the same fortune, because they are no more in this world today. And since the death hasn't come so far, we still have the time to practice the Dharma, to dedicate ourselves to practice. And to be more prepared and trained to face the death peacefully when it does manifest. And to create the cause and conditions to have better next rebirth, better conditions next rebirth, so that we can continue to practice and progress in our path. Therefore, I must not waste this life. And I should make this life as much meaningful as much as possible. And the way to make our life meaningful is to engage in Dharma practice. That's the most meaningful. Not only Dharma practice, but Mahayana Bodhisattva's practice. And in order to engage in those Bodhisattva practice, we need to be reminded of those practices. Be inspired to practice. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the talk. Not only listen, but trying to integrate as much as possible in my everyday life from what we learn. Engage in discussions, practice meditations, reflecting, contemplating. That's why we are here. May all of these become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state of the medicine Buddha. So that we can help to heal all sentient beings, illness, pain, sufferings, and the cause of all the illness and sufferings. So that we can help all sentient beings to achieve ultimate happiness. Yes, so then we go to the refuge and go to the prayer. At the end of it, page number 8, refuge and go to the before the teaching. I go for refuge until I enlighten to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By the merits I begin to listen to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Shulam Soki Chonam
Janchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi, Dagi Shanyan Pesonam Rala Pesha Sangye Dupasho, Sangye Chodan Soki Chonam La, Janchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi, Dagi Shanyan Pesonam Rala Pesha Sangye Dupasho.
Can everyone hear? Yeah? Are you sure? I don't have to shout. No. I would like to kind of summarize a little bit from what we discussed yesterday. As you know, the topic of this weekend is the Buddha of healing, the medicine Buddha practice. And as we discussed yesterday, when we talk about healing, it's not about only healing your physical illness, but also healing the cause of the physical illness. And among many cause conditions, there can be external cause and conditions, but also karmic conditions, healing that karmic conditions. As well as healing those disturbing negative emotions, which also play big role in our illness. To start with, because of those disturbing negative emotions, we create negative karma. And because of that negative karmic potential, and when other conditions come together, then we experience the illness. Not only it plays a role in creating the negative karma, but also while we have illness, how bad they become. Also, it depends on our state of mind, as we talked yesterday. And so when we have those disturbing negative emotions, then, it makes the illness much worse. One, while we are experiencing the physical illness, because our mind is not good state, because our mind is disturbed by those one of the negative emotions, then we experience two illness, physical illness and mental illness, not being able to deal with that physical illness. So we experience the suffering of physically suffering, discomfort, uncomfortable, discomfort, pain. But because we don't have right state of mind to deal with that, because our mind becomes so negative, because due to those disturbing negative emotions and not being, then we experience mental anguish, mental pain, mental sufferings. And that is how those negative emotions play a role in that way. And so, although healing those negative emotions, disturbing negative emotions, healing from all the obscurations. In relation to that, I like to, talk a little bit, just to, in terms of illness, whether it's a physical illness, emotional illness. There are many cause and conditions. It's not just one cause and conditions. Multiple cause and conditions that come together to create illness. There's karmic conditions, the karmic potentials. That is one of the conditions, the karmic potentials. The other conditions, external factors, maybe genetic from in your family. The pollution, or sometimes it's the pollutions, the environment, the food, So those when the karmic potential, karmic seed, and also when all these other external conditions come together, then such as illness, sickness manifest. If there's only karmic connection, karmic seed, but if the external conditions are not there, then it cannot manifest by just itself. Okay? And that is why we have to take care of the external conditions in terms of trying to have, better diet, exercise, better environment. So because that helps to stop the external condition coming together. But even though there is karmic seed, when those external conditions are not there, that cannot manifest by itself. When those two come together, then it manifests. But also when the external conditions are there, if the karmic condition not there, also it doesn't manifest. That is what we see why some people Even when they are in an environment where they could easily get sick, but they don't get sick because externally the conditions are there for them to get sick, but they don't get sick because the karmic condition is not there. But when the karmic condition there, the environment is like that, then that's when it arises, that manifests. So we cannot ignore or neglect both parts. We have to take care of the karmic potential as well as take care of the external conditions. Because coming together of those those conditions give rise to such as illness. And also our state of mind also play a role in that, as we discussed yesterday. How bad that illness become. Yesterday I give some example. When someone is so stressed out, the level of sugar go up, the level of blood pressure go up. Of course they have these conditions such as diabetes and blood pressure. But when their mind is agitated, disturbed by such as stress, fear, worry, it goes up, it makes much worse. That's how state of mind play a role. On the other hand, when you are able to keep your mind calm, peaceful, you can control to a certain level to be able to keep it low. There's a huge connection with our mind. And that's why yesterday we talked about taking care of your state of mind so important for your mental well-being, for your physical well-being. And as we mentioned yesterday, that is one of the things that we ignore in modern society, world. We only seem to focus on the external conditions and doesn't seem to focus on the internal conditions, the state of the mind, how to keep our mind calm, peaceful, positive. And that's why we have not only physical illness, in modern society that I've noticed in the West, the mental illness is a lot. Mental illness meaning emotional problem. People having so much emotional problems. That seems to, in certain parts of the world, is a physical illness because they don't have the right medicines. They don't have all the cure. They don't have the tools. But in more developed countries, the mental, emotional problem seems to be a big thing. It seems to be more and more, becoming worse and worse. And that's because we don't pay so much attention to that, As an individual, as a society, you don't emphasize. In the school, in the society, they don't talk about the importance of that. I think maybe now there is more understanding and that maybe there's more talk about that, the importance of emotional well-being. It's talk more about, and maybe there's more program to help that, but it's only in recent time because they see there's more and more emotional crisis and problems. And those emotional crisis and problems, to deal with it has to deal with mind. To solve the problem, it's a mental, emotional, and it has to deal with the mind itself through certain practice meditations. Of course, there are drugs, medicine to take, but those are no real solutions. Those only make your mind, not active, so dumb, you cannot think. And so you don't start thinking negative because that drugs, medicine make your mind from thinking either good or bad, anything. But then you lose this your mental ability, we have incredible mental ability to think positively, to do positive things. And, so therefore, that kind of treatment, it helps temporarily for some, but it's not the real solutions. And so that's why learning the tools, practice meditations to keep our mind calm, peaceful, positive is crucial. That helps to have better mental state, more peaceful well-being, and more calm emotionally, and also it helps physically. Yesterday I give some example of certain. Also one I noticed, with my own experience, when I was traveling, every time I enter the plane, I get nauseous, sick, something in that, like the moment I enter, after some time, then I feel nauseous, some kind of not well, and when I smell the food, it is even worse.
Well,
When
to be expected, isn't it?
when the food is served, people start to enjoy, and I cannot even just deal with the smell. It makes me much worse, At the very beginning, I thought maybe I'm not used to flying, maybe something to do with the altitude, maybe something to do with the fuel in the plane, and so that is why my body is responding that way, and that's why every time I go, that is how I'm feeling, so I cannot eat, just even the smell makes me bad. And then I thought, with the time, your body, your mind, brain will get used to this, whatever it is, whether it's the altitude, whether it's the fuel, whatever. But even after flying, but some while, still this problem doesn't seem to go. I still have these reactions, my physical reactions, nauseous and not feeling well. And I keep wondering, by this time I should be adjusted if something was something to do with the fuel, something to do with that. And suddenly one day I remember my first experience of flying. I was flying from India to Nepal with my teacher. He was the abbot of Sherab Monastery. Thanks to Lobsang Sering, he already passed away. And he was going to Nepal to do fundraising to build a monastery, Lachi prayer hall. So I went to it as his attendant. And that day when we were traveling from the monastery to the airport, it's 6-hour drive. And I don't know, something, I was not well, my stomach, I was having problems with my stomach. I was throwing up, feeling nauseous, so while we were driving. And of course, then we arrived at airport and then we took the flight. And that was my first flight. It wasn't a pleasant flight. it wasn't pleasant flight because I was always sick while I'm on the way to it. Once I remember that, oh, maybe it's something to do with that. Even though I'm not aware consciously, but maybe on subconscious level, each time I enter, subconsciously remembering that or triggering that. And then I said, oh, I think it's all in my mind. It's all in my mind. So I keep reminding myself, repeating myself, oh, it's all in my mind. It's not because of the fuel, that is because of my mind. I keep reminding, and that flight was a little better. And that gave me even more confidence. It's actually in my mind. And then next time, once I'm convinced that it's in my mind, that problem went away. Since then, I never had that problem. So imagine, that you are feeling physically nauseous and all of that, and because of your mind, because your mind remembering something unpleasant, and how that effect, and not even consciously, unconsciously, even that, how it creates a physical reaction, unpleasant illness, is interesting, And once I was able to realize the connection that, and once I'm able to convince it was in my mind, not in physical, I was able to kind of solve my problem with in that particular situation. And when I was talking about that with someone, one of friend, a psychologist, also Dharma practitioners, and he was sharing other stories of other patients that he had. And so there are some people who panic. And whenever they go to someone's home, they feel like they need to rush to the toilet. And because I guess they have some problem in the past, and then probably it was embarrassing or something uncomfortable, and each time the other goes, that kind of triggered maybe in their mind, that memory, that unpleasant memory. Sometimes you are not even aware it is because of that memory, but your body started to react, response that way. Each time they go, they feel they need to go to the bathroom. And so if you see, then, there are so many instances like that where people have that kind of physically, your body feel like you need to go there, uncomfortable. And because that physical reactions or response is due to that memory, which is mind. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But these are clear, very, very clear signs how our mind affect our physical reactions, such as even illness, such as feeling nausea in my cases, feeling uncomfortable physically because of the mental state. And once I was able to kind of change that mind, I was able to change the physical reactions. And then I didn't have to deal with that unpleasant, uncomfortable physical reactions. So when we analyze, if we check, there are so many clear signs, that how our mind, state of mind affect not only our mental state, emotion, but even on physical level. Because a lot of time we don't see how our mind plays role in physical level, isn't it? We can see that it plays role in mental level, emotional level, but sometimes we think, oh, this is a physical illness. It's all to do with something external world, physical world is nothing to do with the mind, isn't it? We feel like it's all about changing the physical chemicals, whatever that external things. If you do that, then that is okay. That will take care of everything. You don't need to work with your mind. But actually, when you see it, there's so much connection with that. You know, with that feeling of nauseous, in my case, by taking certain medicine, I can stop from having that nauseous for a while, but still it will come later. When I don't take that medicine, it will come again. It's not a permanent solution. But once I was able to, connect that, and once I'm able to let go of that, convince myself in my mind, and then let go of that, I didn't need to take any medicine, and it's just gone completely. That particular thing. So yeah, so that is where where we're talking. Taking care of your mind is so important to keep healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically. And even when we do get sick, if you have a, positive mind, more peaceful, calm mind, more, then, you experience less pain, and you can cure and heal more quickly from whatever treatment, medicine that you are dealing with. How well your body responds, or we respond to the medications and treatment, a lot of time it also depends on your mental state. So that is, it helps to, having a good mental state help to keep more healthy and to heal better more quickly. So, and in order to have, more positive mental state, calm, peaceful mental state, then we need to reduce and overcome that accident and disturb our mental peace, calmness, and positiveness. And primarily, the main cause is that what we call the attachment, anger, and the ignorance. So through practice meditation, trying to reduce and overcome those attachment, anger, and ignorance, then become the key in terms of to be healthy and to heal, to cure better quickly, and to achieve lasting happiness, lasting true ultimate happiness for yourself, for others. And that is the key. So and again, in a physical, in some of the Tibetan medicine, they talk about the cause of illness, and the type of illness, cause of illness. Yesterday we talked a little bit about it. Type of mainly three type of illness. One, illness with more to do with the environment, you know, the effect of the environments, you know, how it affect mostly from the environment. Then there is another type of illness where it's described as mainly from the karmic kind of imprint, you know, and they describe such as like, you know, born with defect and others, you know, other problems that is from the past, heading from the past, you know. And it's interesting, you know, like, even though in both cases there's both involved in karma, karmic potential and others, but in one cases, the environment play a more stronger role. In one cases, the karmic play more stronger roles. And when in cases when karma is so strong, even you take care of the external conditions, without changing the karma, you cannot change that situation, such as the illness. I have met a couple of people, and I've heard many in the monastery, you know, a couple of monks who was having a lot of health issues. They have seen many doctors, they have seen healers and all kind of things. Their parents trying to take, they couldn't heal, they couldn't solve the problem. Some illness. And then, you know, they're going to see some teachers, and the teachers, you know, probably have some mental capacity to see more than ordinary beings. And there's you know, it's a karmic illness, so they have to change that karma. And in those 2 months, they're advised to send to the monastery. And they said once they came to monasteries, that problem was gone. Didn't take any medication, anything. The problem was gone. Change of the karma, you know. Being that, taking the rope, taking the vows, and then practicing, that changed their karma. And with the change of the karma, their illness change, cure. I met at least 2 of them, and I've heard many others, you know, who said that was how they came into the monastery first place, because they was dealing with that certain problem, and then, you know, try all different medication and everything, and they didn't help, and then their parents went to see some teacher, and the teacher advised that, and then once they bought the monastery, well, that solved. And so there's like similar like that, you know, those are just 1 or 2 examples of that. And then other type of the illness that described, you know, is more kind of a side, you know, mental illness, you know. So the conclusions is, you know, to be able to be healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. We need to keep our mind positive, calm, positive state of mind, calm, peaceful. In order to stop creating more cause and condition, karmic cause and condition, also is important to be in more calm, peaceful, positive state of mind. And due to whatever condition, if we have some kind of illness, in order to cure, in order to recover, in order to heal better, fully, quickly, also the need of, you know, our mind to be more calm, peaceful, and more positive. So that is how it plays a role in, being healthy and healing. And that plays same role to be able to help others too. When your mind is more calm, peaceful, positive, you are able to help others who need help. When your mind disturbed, agitated, even you want to help, you are unable to help well. When you are so upset and angry, and you try to help someone, and the person doesn't respond in the right way, and that triggers you, and then you become very upset. Instead of being helpful, now you started to shout. Isn't it? There is someone who needs help, and you really wanted to help that person, but your mind was not in the right state. Something such as something's bothering you. Your mind is not good, positive state, not calm, peaceful. And because your mind is not in good state, not calm, peaceful, then the person you are trying to help, you say, can you do it? And that person doesn't respond that way or do something else. Then you start to get upset. And then you started to shout, and then make other persons feel very bad, hurt the other person. You wanted to help, but you hurt that person instead of being able to help. The person is dealing with emotional problems, feeling very low, maybe low self-esteem, maybe self-hatred, maybe depression, whatever that, and you want to help them to heal, you want to help them deal with that, but your mind is not good state, and then they respond in certain way, they do, and then you lose your mind and you started to say something bad, and then that person feel even worse about themselves, So instead of being able to help and heal, we can make them more worse. Why? Because we couldn't control our mind. And because we couldn't control our mind, we lost our mind. So therefore, then we, out of that lost mind, then we say things and we act in certain way that hurts that person. So that's how we are unable to help others when your mind is not that. Whereas when your mind's calm, peaceful, more patient, more positive, and you try to help, and even persons is not responding well, they don't listen, they do something else often, you can still keep patient, calm. Still you can be kind, compassionate, still try to explain them, with the patience, with the gentleness, niceness, uplift them, feel them good. And you are able to do that, and your mind is not triggered by that someone's sudden action, sudden response to them, because you are able to keep your mind calm, peaceful. You have the ability to keep your mind calm, peaceful, not affected and not disturbed by that person's attitude or actions or response, whatever. And in that way, you are able to help the person better. But that is where, if you want to help someone who is sick, who is dying, who is in the needs of any help, be able to help them good, better, your state of mind needs to be more calm, peaceful, and positive. When your mind is calm, peaceful, positive, you are able to help them better. When your mind is not calm, peaceful, even you want to help them, sometimes you are unable to help them. Not only not being able to help them, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes we even hurt them, harm them. Do you see that? Can you see that? I think it's nothing complicating philosophy. This is our experience. We have seen with our own experience. You know, there are times when you are trying to help someone, but to fix something and you mess up more because of we lost our mind that moment because we couldn't keep our mind calm. So that is so important, so important. You know, then in order to keep our mind calm, peaceful, you know, positive, many different meditation practice. And one of the very powerful meditation practice to help us that, the medicine Buddha. You know, medicine Buddha that can help us to have more calm, peaceful, positive minds, to purify the negative karma, and to purify the disturbing negative emotions, obscurations, you know, and to be able to also help others to heal, you know. Medicine Buddha practice is very powerful practice to keep ourselves healthy. And when we are not healthy, you know, to cure, you know, as well as to purify all the other negative karma, the potential future illness, and all the delusions, so on. As well as, you know, to be able to help others. And as today, I give some example how certain practitioners who have practiced, who have done a lot of retreat, a lot of practice sadhanas, recitation of the medicine Buddha mantras, and practice over the years, so much of them, through the power of the mantras, by reciting mantra and blowing, and by doing certain, they are able to help some people to be cured of certain conditions, you know. And it's the power of the mantra that they have achieved through this constant practice with a total dedication, faith that they have done this practice so much. And so then they are able to help that, you know. The more, so in that way you are able to help. And also, you know, when you send the prayers and through such practice, also it becomes more powerful for heal someone, you know, who needs the help for them to heal from whatever illness, whatever problems. So that is the medicine Buddha. In the Medicine Buddha Sutra, as I mentioned yesterday, there is a Medicine Buddha Sutra, you know, and in that sutras, you know, it explains about the 12 vow and the prayer that Medicine Buddha made while he was on the path, you know, at the Bodhisattva. He vowed and made prayers: when I achieve enlightenment, may I be able to accomplish this and this and that, you know. And then when you actualize the fully enlightenment, those vows and prayers are accomplished. When we talk about perfection or paramitas, we often hear 6 paramitas or the 6 perfections. but also there's 10 perfections and 10 parameters, especially related with the Bodhisattva's Bhumi. There are 10 Bhumis, and each Bhumi is related with each of all the Bhumi practice, all the 10 perfections, but each Bhumi, they emphasize on one particular parameter and they progress gradually. The sixth one, common, another parameter of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyous effort, measured concentration, wisdom. Those are the 6 parameters. And then on 7 bhumis, top skillful means, and the power on the 8, and the 9, the parameter of the prayers, aspirations, and the 10th, exalted wisdom. So when someone achieve fully awakened, or fully enlightened, that all these parameters are completed and perfected. On both sides of us path, you are trying to complete them. You are trying to perfect those practice. You engage in practice, and your practice of generosity get better and better, more and more complete, more and more perfect, and with all other parameters. And when you achieve fully awakened state, then you perfect all these practice, all these parameters, complete all these, perfect all of them. And therefore, you perfect and complete the parameter of prayers. And that means while you are on the path, all different prayers and the vows you made become accomplished, completely perfected. And that is also why some of the Buddhas have their own unique, why we rely on certain Buddhas for some certain specific functions, because of different prayers, that vows they made at the time of path, during the path, and then when they achieve that, those are perfected. So if you rely on that particular Buddha to accomplish something, then because of that, it's more powerful in that way. So the medicine Buddha's 12 vows and prayers are, first one, to illuminate the entire world with a bright and perfect light until the end of the time. That was one of the vows and prayers he made it. The second, to heal all those who are sick and suffering. And that's why relying on medicine Buddha to heal, the illness and suffering become very powerful, because this is one of the specific vows and prayer he made, that may I be able to heal all sentient beings. May I be able to heal all the illness and all the sufferings of sentient beings. So this is something, as he was on the path, and both the path, that was something he made very strong prayers, the vows, all. And so when he achieved enlightenment, then that, those prayers are accomplished. So therefore, that is why relying on that. To lead those who have lost their onto the path towards enlightenment. That's the third one. Fourth one, to relieve the poor and destitute from their sufferings. And as we did mention, the medicine Buddha is not only for healing and curing the illness, also by doing the practice in relation to medicine Buddha, also is to overcome poverty. It's also, and because of this 4 vows and prayer, to relieve the poor and destitute from their suffering. Fifth, to alleviate the suffering in those in the lower ranks. And those also, one of the reasons also is the powerful to the medicine Buddhas while we are dying, or for someone who's died, because it helps to purify the negative karma to be born in the lower ranks. Unfortunate lower ranks where there's more sufferings. And again, because of specific vows and prayer aspirations that medicine Buddha made for that. This is the 5th one. And the sixth one might not be so relevant nowadays, but maybe it was relevant in the past, in certain time conditions, to help women who wish to be reborn as a man to achieve their goal. But it is true. In the old time, in almost in all the society, being a woman was not easy. And being a woman they didn't have the freedom to achieve their goals, whatever they want to do. They are constrained by the society to be at home and do certain things, not more than that. So if they want to be a doctors, if they want to be a leaders, if they want to be, it was not easy. In such society, in such time, it had changed, but that wasn't the case long time ago. If you were just one country, one culture, it's all over. Different countries, totally opposite part of the world, but still more or less same in all that. So I think similar prayers you see in some other prayer as well. You have to understand the context of that, and so in such context, in such time, in such society, if you want to achieve something, goal, you want to be something, then being a woman was not easy. And so that is why. 7, to help dispel the fear and the suffering of all sentient beings. And again, not only physical illness, sickness, but also emotional, pain, such as fear, anxiety, panicking, all of that, again, by relying on the medicine Buddha and by engaging in the practice. When we are dealing with something like that, such as fear, panic, also anxiety, I can be powerful and beneficial. That is 7. 8, to help those who are bound by negative karma to achieve liberation. So also, as we discussed yesterday, by relying on medicine Buddha and by doing the practice, also is very powerful to purify all the negative karma that we have created in the past. That is 8. 9, to assist those who wish to be reborn in a pure land to achieve their goal. So again, in the Mahayana and Vajrayana, not only Vajrayana, also in Sutra Mahayana, also there is the idea, concept of pure land, where you are still not fully enlightened sentient beings, but you create cause and condition to be born, and then you have no sufferings. You still need to work on your path. You still need it, but there's no suffering like that we have at the moment. And the environment are better to practice the Dharma, And so there is medicine Buddha's pure land as well, and so again, by relying on the medicine Buddha and we engage in practice and we make the intention to be in such environment can be helpful, especially for those who doesn't have the courage to come back in the samsara where there's so much pain and suffering. For those bodhisattvas who have incredible courage, they prepare to be in a samsara where there's much more pain and suffering than to be in a pure land. And that is one of the things that, His Holiness Dalai Lama shared a story, He said he was reading a biography of, I think, 7 Dalai Lama. But first Dalai Lama, I don't recall exactly. I think maybe first Dalai Lama. He was reading the biography. And at the very end of his life, as he was coming closer to his passing away, he told his attendant to set up the offerings. I need to do some practice. There's no good sign. He sees some not so good sign. So he said, I need to prepare, set up some offering, advise him. And the disciple says, you are such a high Lama, you are such a high realized beings. You can go wherever you wish, you have freedom, whichever pure land you have the wish. So what I'm talking about, about this. They were a little bit confused. And then the Lama replied, that is exactly. I have made prayers always to come in this world where there's more suffering, to help and benefit where there's more sufferings. That is his prayers, his intentions, his vows, to come again and again in the world where there's more suffering, to relieve the suffering of them. But I'm getting some sign that I might be going into Pure Land. And he didn't want to go there. Even though there's sentient beings to help and to care there, but there is more sentient beings who are suffering much more in others, and he would rather be in that. And that's why for him, he saw that was not good sign to be born in such as Pure Land, because he wanted to be want to come in where there's much more suffering. Such is the attitude of the Bodhisattvas. They want to come back again and again where there's more sufferings, so they can help those suffering sentient beings more. So because they have incredible confidence, self-confidence, and courage, that those Bodhisattvas beings. And so His Holiness Dalai Lama, 14 Dalai Lama, was saying, when he read that, it really touched his heart. It really touched his heart. He said that part, it really touched his heart and inspired him also, to follow that path. Such are the Bodhisattva attitude. Not being fearful of coming again and again in the world where there is so much suffering. One of my also teachers, and our previous effort of our monastery in Nepal, in Kopan Monastery, Lama Lundu, later he had the cancer, and he passed away with the cancer. 2 days before he passed away, of course, physically he was very weak. So he couldn't go up. Lama Savarambucha was staying in the upper. You have to go to the stairs up, down. But because he was feeling so weak, he couldn't. So he knew it was coming soon. So he wanted to get his blessings and make some offerings and blessings. And he sent his student to that, but Rinpoche wanted to come down to meet him, and give blessings, some advice. And someone has taken a video of that while they were having that conversations. And so Lama Lundu was, of course, almost like whispering because they're so weak, asking for the blessings, and his the request for the blessings was what he requested was, if it is more beneficial, wherever it is more beneficial for to me, please bless me to be there. And he said, if it is most beneficial for me to be in hell, please bless for me to be able to be there, to be there. Such are the bodhisattva attitude, courageous, not afraid to be in the worlds where most suffering is, if it is best to benefit those sentient beings. But we all do not have such courage. We think this, even in suffering in this human life is too much. It's too much to deal with, and so we might not have so much courage, And so for those who doesn't have courage, then Pure Land is a good place. So if we don't have so much courage and you are afraid and fearful of being born in again, going through the life again and going through all this suffering problem again and again, or even worse, then the ideas of being Pure Land is nice and good. So there is this within the Buddhist Mahayana traditions, there is a concept of Pure Land, and there are many different Pure Land. One of the most well known is Amitabha Pure Land, but each Buddha has their own Pure Land. Medicine Buddha is Medicine Buddha Pure Land. Amitabha's, Vajrayogini Pure Land, each deity has their own Pure Lands. So again, wherever, one feel connected, one feel, then you rely on that deity, such as Medicine Buddha, and you do the practice, you set up the inspiration to be born in such place so that you can continue your spiritual journey path with the best condition, without so much sufferings, or without sufferings, and then, you do the practice, recite the mantra, and try to keep, so some of the cause and conditions to be born in Pure Land, as is described in those Pure Land sutras, is one, having the faith and in the deity and the Buddha and the Pure Land, and having the inspiration to be born in that's one of the cause. And the second is you visualize and you recite the mantras, that the others is to live more moral, ethical life. That's another important cause, You recite the mantras and you pray to be born there as an inspiration. But if you try to live your life unethical, then you are missing one of the cause. Having a moral, ethical life, living moral, ethical life, one of the cause. And then, cultivating loving kindness, bodhicitta, is another cause. So the reason to be born in such Pure Land is so that we can continue our path, so we can be helpful and beneficial to sentient beings. Because if we are in suffering state and sometimes the condition is so intense, we are unable to practice. So, like sometimes we have strong physical pain, because the pain is so unbearable, you cannot think of practice, you cannot concentrate. All you think is that pain, how to get rid of that pain, So you can, and that is the same when someone is so poor, they struggle to live, so they don't have time to think of practicing, and that because they are so concerned of the struggle, just basic trying to live, you know. Hmm? So, and so therefore, in order to practice, you know, especially for the beginner, once you are advanced practitioner, it doesn't matter. Advanced practitioner, then it doesn't matter. All these problems, suffering, become a condition to your practice to become more stronger. More suffering, the more stronger your practice become. You know, for the more advanced practitioners, all the obstacles, all the suffering, all the pain, they do not become obstacles. They become a conducive condition for their practice to grow more stronger and more bigger and more quickly. But beginner practitioners, like myself, you know, like who chicken out, you know, then if there is too much sufferings, you cannot concentrate, you cannot do the practice, you know, you get distracted. And so you need a little better conditions to be able to practice and to be able to focus and all of that. And so therefore, you know, the reason for someone who want to be born in the Pure Land is not because that if it is driven by selfish attitude, so that I don't have to suffer, then it doesn't become cause to be born there. It becomes obstacle to be born there if it is a selfish attitude. But it is driven by compassion because I want to develop, improve myself, and so I can be more help, beneficial to others. And in order to practice, so I can build my practice strongly, I need a better condition because I cannot practice so well if the suffering is too much. Therefore, I would like to have that condition so I can practice. So that kind of intention, motivation, driven by sense of love, compassion, wanted to help or benefit, the reason to be born there, then that kind of is then one of the other conditions to be born in the Pure Lands. Okay, so at the moment we will have a break in a good note about Pure Land.